When it comes to growing healthy, productive pepper plants, few topics divide gardeners more than pruning. Some swear by it, claiming it boosts yields, improves airflow, and creates stronger stems. Others say it's unnecessary work that stresses the plant and slows growth. So, what's the truth? Is pruning your pepper plants really worth the effort, or just another gardening myth? Today, we're diving deep into the science, benefits, and when you shouldn't prune, so you can decide what's best for your garden. First, let's clarify what pruning actually means in the context of pepper plants. Pruning is the selective removal of parts of the plant, usually leaves, suckers, and even early flowers, in order to shape the plant, encourage certain growth habits, and sometimes to prevent disease. For peppers, this can be done lightly or more aggressively, depending on your goals. One of the most commonly cited benefits of pruning is airflow. By removing dense inner growth or crossing stems, you open up the plant, allowing more air to move through the leaves. This helps prevent fungal diseases like powdery mildew or bacterial leaf spot, especially in humid or rainy climates. In tight spaces or greenhouse setups where airflow is limited, a bit of strategic pruning can go a long way toward keeping plants healthy. Another benefit is plant strength. When you prune young pepper plants, usually at the 6 to 8 inch mark, you often force the plant to grow stronger, bushier stems rather than stretching upward into a tall, weak structure. This creates a sturdier foundation that can support heavier fruit loads later in the season. Gardeners who prune early often report thicker main stems, more side branching, and fewer issues with plants toppling over once peppers mature. Pruning also redirects the plant's energy. By removing suckers or small unwanted branches, you're helping the plant focus its resources on fewer, but potentially larger fruits. In theory, this can increase fruit quality and encourage earlier harvests. That's why some commercial growers and urban gardeners with limited space routinely prune their pepper plants to maintain compact, productive growth. However, pruning isn't without drawbacks. If done too early or too aggressively, it can shock the plant, especially in cooler climates or during periods of slow growth. Pruning removes leaves, your plant's solar panels, so cutting too many at once reduces the plant's ability to photosynthesize and recover quickly. This can actually delay fruiting or stunt growth if the plant doesn't have adequate nutrients and sunlight. Timing is also key. If you prune too late in the season, especially after flowering has begun, you risk removing future fruit sites. Most pepper varieties set fruit on new growth, so pruning at the wrong time can mean fewer peppers overall. In short-season climates, the time lost to recovery might cost you part of your harvest. So, when should you prune your pepper plants? Well, if you're starting indoors or in a greenhouse and want compact bushy transplants, pruning early can help. Topping the plant above the 3rd or 4th node encourages branching and can make for sturdier plants at transplant time. And, if your outdoor garden tends to be crowded or humid, pruning the lower leaves and inner shoots around mid-season can improve airflow and make pest control easier. But if your peppers are already growing well, flowering and fruiting, especially in a warm, dry climate, you may not need to prune at all. In fact, leaving the plant to grow naturally often yields just as much, or even more, with less stress. Some varieties, like jalapeños and habaneros, handle pruning well. Others, especially larger bell peppers, may be more sensitive and slow to bounce back. Ultimately, the decision comes down to your gardening goals and conditions. Do you want perfectly shaped, compact plants for containers or patios? Are you trying to maximize airflow in a small garden bed? Do you struggle with pests or disease that hide in dense foliage? If so, light pruning could help. But if you prefer a low-maintenance, hands-off approach, or if your plants are thriving already, pruning might not be necessary at all. If you're curious to try, consider doing a simple experiment. Prune one pepper plant and leave another untouched. Track their growth, flowering, and fruiting side by side. It's one of the best ways to learn what works in your garden with your soil, climate, and style. At the end of the day, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Pruning pepper plants can be helpful under the right conditions, but it's not a must for every gardener. Whether you snip or not, the key is healthy soil, consistent watering, sunlight, and a little love.